righty. Well, today we have on Mr. Patrick Sharp. He used to be the cross country and track coach at Carroll County High School, as well as a teacher at Carroll County High School. This is a very special episode for me and Ethan. You coached me my 7th and 8th grade year for cross country. I think you're 7th grade year. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing well. Retirement is highly recommended.
So it will be a shorter episode today. If we can highlight your early career. You played college basketball where at?
I played college basketball at Western Carolina University. They still are a member of the Southern Conference, which is a lower Division I school or conference. And I was there from 1980 to 84.
And you grew up here?
I grew up here in Carroll County. I actually went to school at Deladeville Elementary, then Woodlawn, and then graduated from Carroll County High School in 1980.
I've always wondered this. We are cousins, correct?
Yes. My mother was a Watson. Her maiden name was Watson, so she's related to your dad and Bud and Tom and Chico and Pico and.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember you saying something about that a few years ago. I've had the chance to ask you since. Did you run in high school?
I ran my 10th grade year cross country until I found out that basketball was going to be what I was going to be doing. And then our coach emphasized conditioning, and he was having us run 5 miles a day in preseason and after season and during the summer. So I just kind of gave up the cross country and concentrated on the basketball aspect because I knew that's where I was going to be going.
What motivated you to choose Western Carolinas?
Mainly the location. It's in a small town called Cullowhee.
Yeah.
It's about 50 miles west of Asheville. At that time, it was probably 6,000 students. Now I think it's about double that, up to 12,000. And you're out in the middle of the mountains of western North Carolina, and you had all kinds of recreational opportunities. You had kayaking and backpacking and just whatever. So,
were you very academic in high school?
In high school, no. One thing I wish I could do over is to probably go back and apply myself more in high school. I actually graduated with like a 3.5 in college, and I think in high school I had like a 2.7 or a 2.8. But I think a lot of that was just maturity.
What did you major in college?
I majored in Parks and Recreation Management and wanted to work for the federal government in the Park Service. And there was no full-time jobs. People get those jobs, they just kind of keep them and don't give them up.
Right.
I could have worked part-time for years till one opened. And I decided, let's do something else. So I took a job as the pool manager with the Carroll County Recreation Department. And then the assistant superintendent asked me if I'd be interested in coaching and teaching. And so I said yes. So I interviewed for the position at Hillsville intermediate at the time. And I was hired as a 8th grade girls and 9th grade boys basketball coach and taught 5th and 6th grade PE.
What was it like coaching after playing for so long?
Well, it's a little different. I mean, now you're the one that's making decisions and training people and trying to build their fundamental skills and stuff.
When did you start coaching cross country and track?
I don't know the exact year. I think it was 1993 or 94. They had an opening, they needed somebody to fill it, and I said, sure, I can do that in the fall of the year, maybe get some of our basketball players to run that weren't doing anything, that weren't playing football,
right,
and help with their conditioning. And then I just kind of really enjoyed it and stayed with it till 2020.
To kind of loop back, so you get out of college and you want to work for the federal government. I've heard a lot of those jobs are 6 months on, 6 months off. Is that correct?
Well,
at different parks.
Yes, part-time. You could do seasonal.
Yeah.
I mean, I could work in the national parks in the northern part of the country during the summertime, and then during the wintertime, I could have went down to the south where it's warmer and worked in those parks and just kind of travel back and forth until a full-time job opened up, but I just didn't want to do that. I wanted something a little more stable and permanent, and so good Lord put me where he wanted me, I reckon.
Yeah. The teaching aspect of the job, once you got into that, was that a cultural shock for you? Were you ready for that, or did you?
Well, nobody's ever ready for it. I mean, And you can take all the education courses that you want, but they're not training you to deal with 25 students every day and everything that's going on in their lives. And, you know, everybody's a little bit different. And you have to handle everybody a little bit differently. So, no. I mean, I think anybody that enters teaching is kind of got that kind of cultural shock in. And it takes a few years, you know, develop your teaching and skills and your ability and your classroom management. But once, you know, you get that experience, it's very rewarding.
When did you stop coaching basketball?
1998.
Why did you quit?
That's a good question. I wasn't really happy with, I guess, myself as a basketball coach. I guess the arrogance of your youth, and I just wasn't communicating with the student athletes as I should be, and it was time for a change. Just do something better, do something different, not better, but do something different. And you know, I found a niche there with the cross country and track, and stayed with it.
What did your coaching methodology look like for cross country and track?
Well, cross country, I mean, you take what's given to you.
Right. Yeah.
Your student athletes, and try to work with each one with their own individual skills and their abilities and their experience level or their ability level. We did some of the same things with everybody,
Right.
but as far as the intensity or amount of work that you put into it, you had to adjust to each individual person. It would be very difficult to train everybody the same way.
Yeah.
Because if you've got your top 2% there of your team and you're not pushing them enough because you're holding them back to stay with your other kids, you know, it's not fair to them. And then you got that bottom 2% of your team that's can't
Keep up.
can't keep up,
Yeah.
and you're not being fair to them either. So you kind of do it individually. And you guys kind of remember that, I guess, because I gave you individual times to do for certain workouts and certain, especially speed days.
Yeah.
Everybody had a little bit different based on your performances. So, in the same way in track, you just have to. Your method should be, in my opinion, to coach to the people's abilities and try to get them to improve. And they should improve.
Yeah.
Over time, you know, they're going to get stronger and faster, and by the time they're juniors and seniors, they should be really competitive.
How did you become a better coach? Was it just through trial and error? Did you read books?
Yes, I got a small library. Coaching clinics, although a lot of the coaching clinics didn't emphasize distance running. Most of it was sprints and throws and jumps. But every once in a while you'd meet somebody and talk with them, and you'd pick up a lot of stuff. And the coaches that I coached against, learned a lot from them too.
Yeah.
Coach at Abington and coach at Marion, and some of these guys that you compete against, you pick up stuff from them, and you take and use what's good for you.
Yeah.
You can't use everything, but you can pick things that seem to work good for you and then implement it into your program.
When Luke and I ran under you, you heavily emphasized weightlifting. When did that start?
Well, I don't know if I emphasized it heavily.
Well, we lifted in the summer. We lifted 3 times a week.
Yes,
In
you
the
should
season, we
increase
lifted
your
twice.
strength.
Yeah.
And no matter what activity you're doing, you need. I mean, you can train yourself to be a runner, but get to a certain point, you're going to start stalling.
Yeah.
So the next thing you need to do, in my opinion, is to increase your strength, and then go from there. And you increase your strength, then you're going to increase your performance. Yes, and of course I didn't really emphasize powerlifting. It was more of a high rep, low weight to build your endurance as well as strength.
How long did it take you to really feel comfortable in the role of coaching cross country?
Cross country, Oh, well, I guess probably the first 4 or 5 years was kind of just feeling your way around and getting information from other folks and using what seemed to work for you. If it didn't work, you discard it and go to something else. So I would think, 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years that it took to get to where I was comfortable with what I was doing.
Were the teams always smaller? Because I know now cross country is probably one of the smallest team
We have
sports.
10, 12.
10 people, 10.
Well, when I first started, we had as many as 6 or 7.
Yeah.
We hit some success, and we won several district championships to the boys and girls. And I think the most that I ever had at one time was 37.
Wow.
And we did that for a couple of years, and then it kind of died off again. And we would keep around, not keep, but have around 18 to 20 kids, boys and girls. Usually we had enough for a boys and a girls team. Not always, but for the most part, we could get at least 5 runners out there to field a full team.
Did you prefer the smaller team?
Well, I wouldn't say I preferred the smaller team. It was easier to work with. When you got 35, 36, 37 kids, it's kind of harder to do that individual thing.
Yeah.
And with smaller groups, you could do that a lot easier. But I enjoyed the larger groups and the smaller groups.
Did you ever run with the teams, or did you run?
I ran until my knees wore out. I would run with them. And I was actually running 5 and 10K races myself and was training for a marathon when this cartilage wore out in my knee and had to have it worked on, and they told me to quit running. Do something non-impactful. So I started riding a bicycle.
Yeah. I remember on our long runs, you would bike up and down the trail with us.
Yep. I would get out there, and that was just to keep an eye on you guys.
Yeah.
Was that something that you were always involved with?
What?
Cycling or biking?
No, but I wish I had started earlier. Probably saved a lot of wear and tear on your body. But no, I didn't start actually cycling seriously until I was told I couldn't pound anymore on my knees.
So do you recommend long distance running throughout one's life, or do you?
If your body can take it, but you got to listen to your body. I mean, as you get older, you're going to have to decrease your intensity some, and just listen to your body, what it's telling you. It's a lifelong activity, and as long as you don't wear your body out, you should be able to do it most of your life.
Speaking of biking, have you ever gotten into mountain biking or trail biking?
Not technically, not the technical stuff.
Yeah.
I've got a mountain bike and I've got a cross bike, and but do I do technical mountain biking? No. Do I do technical racing type cyclocross? No. Mainly what I do is I just ride for the fitness part of it, just to get my heart rate up and get out and get to moving some.
Did you ever ride with Mr. Mitchell?
Yes, we rode several times together. We went to Massachusetts and rode it wasn't a race, it was just a ride. This professional rider did it for a fundraiser. You could choose a 40-mile bike ride, a 60 or 80 miles, and your entry fee was based on which one you chose. And what this professional biker did, he used that money he raised to buy bicycles for kids in his community to get them involved in biking. And this guy's name was Jeremy Powers, and he was from central Massachusetts, and we just went up there to support him, and we rode bicycles through the central part of Massachusetts for 40 and 60 miles. And I've been to Houston, Texas. I had some friends that invited me down. We rode bikes there. I've rode in Knoxville, Tennessee. I've rode some trails in West Virginia. Most of what I do here is the New River Trail and some on the Parkway.
Did you ride with Terry Edwards?
Terry was who I rode with in Houston. He was living in Houston at the time, and we ride together. Every time he comes home to visit his mother, we get together and ride. And he just invited me down, so I went down for 4 or 5 days in early April before it got too hot, and just rode around the area of Houston. They've got all kinds of paved trails for walking, running, biking.
it's
Good
like-
infrastructure for stuff like that. And Knoxville's the same way. Knoxville's got like over 600 miles of trails.
Wow.
Have you been to Denver?
I've been to Denver.
Colorado's like that.
I've
too.
been to
There's biking
Colorado,
trails.
yes, but I've not been biking there.
Yeah, there's much more access to fitness. It seems like.
Any of these larger cities, you have more infrastructure for
Yeah.
physical activity. They have paved trails, well kept, and they're for running, walking, or biking.
Yeah, me and Ethan 2 years ago rode 70 miles on the New River Trail, and it just got the monotony of it
It was challenging.
was the hardest part. Do you ever get that way with the New River Trail? Feel that way?
No, I mean, to me, there's something always new.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to see different wildlife. The weather's different. So no, I try not to get caught up in the monotony of it. I just more aware of what's around me.
Yeah.
And a lot of things out there to see.
Yeah.
A lot of wildlife in this area.
Part of our problem was we were going kind of slow, so it took us longer than it maybe should have. Ended up taking us around 8 hours, and we stopped.
I rode for about 6 hours, but there was different things. We got to the river. And
The time on bike was probably around 6, but we stopped and got food and Freeze.
Did you do the whole trail?
We did.
Yeah.
We started in Galax, we
to
went to Freeze,
Freeze.
and then ended in Pulaski.
In Pulaski.
So we did the whole 70. We were both proud of that, but it was one of the harder days that we've had.
yeah, but I mean and we weren't really conditioned for
No.
riding either. But and we've actually talked about riding on the Blue Ridge Parkway, but the cars are the main concern there.
Yeah, traffic's going to be a problem for bicyclists anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make yourself as visible as you want to, but people still say, "Oh, I didn't see you."
Yeah.
I didn't see you. And I guess the Parkway, you don't have as much traffic as you would if you were riding out here on a state highway or a state road.
Have you ever had any close calls when biking?
Yeah, I've had a couple of people about hit my handlebar with their side view mirror. Had a person open a car door in front of me when I was coming down Main Street in Hillsville.
Yeah.
Those are the closest ones.
To loop back to sports, indoor track at Carroll County High School.
Indoor track,
Did we have it, and did you coach it?
I did not coach it. We did have it at one time.
You know why they got rid of it?
Not really, other than travel. The only places that had indoor tracks at the time was VMI, I think Virginia Tech, and I think that may be the only two. And you had to travel to Lexington or Blacksburg for every meet. But I was never really involved with it.
I know now Abington is having outdoor track meets
Yeah.
in the wintertime. So they're taking indoor teams and just making them run, I guess.
They plow
regular
their track if it snows and they just run.
Okay.
They call them Eskimo meets, I think. So, yeah, seems kind of crazy.
Kind of strange. The track at Carroll County High School, that was another topic we wanted to discuss with you. People talk about getting a new track very often. You think that's ever really a feasible idea for us, or?
I mean, feasible, yes, I guess. But I don't know. When you start talking about cost of things and the aspect, I mean, if you're going to put a new track there, you want to put a rubber track down.
It's a lot of money.
And then your cost, the cost goes up, and then the maintenance of it and keeping it in good shape. And
Have people always complained about that track?
well, no, not always, because asphalt was the type of surface you ran on at one time most of the time. The rubber tracks have come in the last 2 decades, I guess, last 20 years.
Because we had a meet 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and nobody would send their running teams to Carroll. So Carroll County ran all the running events, and we won the meet because we had more points. But all these teams just sent their throwers because they didn't want to run on our track. Yeah. I thought that was strange because
it was supposed to be our district meet, but no one came.
So that was different.
I can't comment on that. I don't know.
We know that you stopped coaching track
Before you stopped
coaching cross country. Can you work us through the reasonings behind that?
Just personal. I was nearing the end of my career, and I knew it was coming up soon, and I just wanted to be able to go home at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
See what regular people lived.
Yeah.
So during the springtime, weather's getting warmer and a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
So I was just decided that I wanted to.
But you stick with cross country.
Cross country, yeah. I mean, it's beginning of the school. It's fall sport.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of fresh coming in, and I think people seem to be a little more committed, and a little more committed to it than they are in springtime when there's so many other distractions.
Sure.
A lot of things going on in springtime. It can be distracting.
Especially with seniors in springtime.
Yeah. They've got so many things going on, and they've got graduation, and they're wanting to get out on their own and take that next step into the next chapter of their life. Yeah, I can see that.
When Luke and I ran, you started the cross country season in July. We had the summer workouts. When did you start that, and why did you start it?
Well, just try to get people a little bit of mileage, build their base mileage up a little bit, get them in the weight room, get them a little stronger. If you're going to be a runner, you got to run pretty much year round.
Right.
And, summertime's not just a time to sit around and do nothing. And then you come in the first day of cross country practice after sitting around all summer, you're not going to be ready to run. And even 4 weeks into your 3 to 4 weeks of 20 days, I think you have to have before you can compete in the meet. You're not going to get in shape in that time to be competitive with other cross-country runners. Yeah. And that's probably a good thing why a lot of schools that have access to it do the indoor track. Because continuation. You got your cross-country season, your indoor track season, and then your outdoor track season. And then you can take a break there during the summer for a few weeks, and then you start getting ready for cross country again.
So I had you for your last 2 years coaching. Were you considering giving it up during that time, or did COVID really have an impact on it?
COVID had no impact on it. I'd made my decision way back that in 2020, and it was 35 years, I was going to retire.
Okay,
so COVID had nothing to do with it. That was a coincidence.
Okay, because in the team, the theory was that COVID was.
Yeah. No. I remember you came to the middle school to get our uniforms, and I turned mine into you, and I said, "See you next year." And you said, "See you next year." So I just always thought that I would have you as a coach for my 8th grade year, and then COVID hit.
And it may have been the fact that I hadn't totally decided about the retirement thing yet, but I was 90% sure that I was going to be retiring in 2020. I mean, 35 years, that's a pretty good
it's a good
stint and a good career, I guess.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. We were just kind of curious. We didn't really know.
No, I know a lot of people think that.
Yeah.
Several people retired that year, but COVID had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself missing it, or are you glad you're out?
There's too many other things to do.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't miss it. There's other things to do. I mean, there's a whole big world out there of things to do in it.
I remember it was during the season. It was the time the hurricane came through, the tropical storm, and you went up to West Virginia and kayak. Do you do that often? Kayaking?
That wasn't actually kayaking. That was just whitewater rafting.
Whitewater rafting.
Yeah, no, I want to get on the New River Gorge or the Golly River in a kayak, especially if it's flooded. We have gone when it was flooded, whitewater rafting, but those were just rafting trips. We've been doing that. Me and my brother's been doing it for, 20-some years, and it's just kind of a yearly thing we do. We do the New River Gorge sometime in the summer, and then we do the Golly River when they open it up in September.
You talked about free time in retirement, and I've called you a couple times the past few days, and you've mentioned your church. Can you talk about your involvement in church?
Well, I teach Sunday school for 7th through 12th grade. I'm a deacon in their church. I'm the head usher who does the ushering stuff for our church services each Sunday morning. I'm on a couple of committees where we do special events for our church.
Blood drive that happened yesterday.
Yes, that's part of the building and grounds. Red Cross wanted to use our facility, so I had to open it up for them yesterday morning, and then when they got finished, go in and kind of clean up and lock up things after they were done. But yeah, the church keeps you busy, and that's a good thing.
You joke that once you retire, they put you to work.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Good cause.
You're working for the Lord, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Definitely.
I remember when I ran under you in 7th grade, you had every week planned out.
Yep, more or less.
Yeah,
we may make some minor changes, but yeah.
And you had mileages for each week and even for each day. And you emphasize our long runs on Thursdays and Saturdays. Do you think that the long run is important, or do you think that its importance is overstated for?
I think it's very important. I mean, that's building your cardiovascular.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not doing it with a great deal of intensity, but you're just getting out there and getting mileage in and getting your heart and lungs and your VO2 max up a little bit so you can run faster for a longer period of time. I've had some people that didn't do their long runs. They did them for a while and they were doing great. Then they stopped doing them and their times dropped. Yeah. And you're like, why are their times dropping? Oh, I'm not doing my long runs. Yeah. So, yeah. We would do that long run like on Thursdays, just kind of like after a meet.
Yeah, right.
After a meet on Wednesday. Yeah. And then I would try to get you all to do your long runs on the weekend and rest one day. Yeah. Rest one day, but just get out in a nice, easy pace and just get out and run for an hour, whatever it was I assigned you, 45 minutes to an hour to hour and a half.
I remember the schedule that we had mostly was Mondays we had a tempo or fartlek, Tuesdays we had just easy mileage, Wednesdays tempo or fartlek, Thursdays that longer run on the trail, and Friday hills, and then Saturday long run. Was that type of weekly schedule consistent throughout your career?
Yep, pretty much.
Why did you choose it?
Just stuff I picked up from other people.
Yeah.
From other coaches and from coaching clinics and stuff that I've been to. And they all consistently emphasized or recommended that that's what you need to do.
Can you touch on the difference between coaching middle schoolers and coaching high schoolers? Because we had you during middle school.
Well, you're talking about a maturity level there. Middle schoolers, probably attention span's not quite as long. And that's mainly why you guys ran shorter distances in meets. Yeah. You ran 2 miles or maybe a 3K. Yeah. I know there was 1 or 2 meets that y'all did the 3K, which is what, 2.4?
Yeah, something like that.
And then, as you get older and more mature, your attention span's a little bit longer, and you're older and stronger and more mature, and so you can do the 5K.
I remember in 8th grade, I think it was the Randy Smith Invitational. You let me run the 5K.
Run the JV race.
Yeah, and it was, I think, 98 degrees that day.
It's hot. I don't remember that, but it could be hot.
Yeah. But I remember that because that was my first high school race, my first 5K race through the school. And it was extremely hot that day. But I just remember I think I did it once or twice through that season.
Yeah, it was good for 8th graders to get that because next year you're going to be doing 5Ks anyway.
Yeah. That is a big jump.
Need to break you in.
Yeah. The jump from 2 mile to 5K is a lot larger than one would think. I think.
Yeah, you're adding 33% more distance.
I found it challenging.
As you look over your career as a coach, is there any specific group that stands out to you of kids you coached?
We had great kids, every year. I mean, I didn't have no discipline problems really. To be a distance runner, you have to be very disciplined and usually very smart. because of your, and usually they're more mature also as individuals. They mature quicker, and they stay focused better. So, no, we've had great kids, I mean, from day one.
Well, as we're wrapping up here, we have a series of questions we always ask.
What advice do you have to someone pursuing a career in coaching or in education?
It can be very rewarding. You just have to kind of be patient, and like I said, if you choose to be a teacher or a coach, they don't teach you how to be a teacher or a coach. Everything is philosophy and methodology and things like that, and you just got to learn yourself how to deal with people and deal with different personalities, and that's not going to happen overnight. You've got to be patient yourself, and of course your administrators have to be patient with you too, and I think they realize that you're coming out and you're 22 years old and you're teaching and coaching. It's going to take some time to develop your own personality as a teacher or a coach.
What advice do you have to young people just making their way in the world?
Don't be distracted by things that don't matter. There's so many distractions out there in this world, and you should just focus on what you need to focus on to make you a better person and a better Christian. A good, strong Christian faith is going to help you manage those distractions better and not let them seep into your life.
I remember you gave us a little booklet. If we wanted to, we got to talking about it after a long run one day in my 8th grade season. Read the Bible. That's a certain amount of verses each day for an entire year.
Yeah, how to read the Bible through in a year.
You still do that?
Every day.
How long have you done that for?
I've read the Bible through, I guess, 5 or 6 times. For a long time there, I didn't read. I just read like the New Testament.
Right.
And but there's so much in the Old Testament that's related to the New Testament. And so the little sheet that I gave you all, I use it every morning. Get up first thing as soon as I get up. I do my daily devotional.
Do you find yourself seeing new things as you reread different chapters?
Yes. I mean, when you read, I was like, why didn't I pick that up last time? Mm-hmm. Or, last time I read this. And so it's always good to have somebody it's always good to go to Bible study. Mm-hmm. Whether it's your pastor leading it or your youth pastor or whoever, because they can pick up stuff and you're like, why did I not see that? Yeah. And that makes sense, what they're saying. So it helps to have others with you as you progress in your knowledge of growing in the knowledge of God, put it that way.
Yeah. Our last question, it's a bit of a cliche, but we like to ask every interviewee, and that is, what is the meaning of life to you?
The meaning of life. Well, I guess the most important thing is that you show love to other people. Do what you can for other people. And there's going to be people that try to take advantage of you. But, reach out to those that are in need and try to help when you can those that need it. That's why teaching is kind of so rewarding too. Yeah. Because you can reach out and touch and help people that really need it.
Well, sir, thank you for coming today. We really appreciate it.
I enjoyed it.